Good evening, folks. Good evening and welcome. Welcome, everybody. First of all, as we're in lockdown, cheers to you all. I decided I'd have a pink gin while we're waiting. So, wishing you all the best through this lockdown, and we see you all on the other side. Okay. So, this evening, as promised, I wanted to talk to you about some rights that we have, and it's important to understand your rights when it comes to government. Remember, the Constitution doesn't actually give you rights, it merely enshrines or highlights the rights that you already have. Okay? And the Constitution is really like any company's constitution. It just holds the particular company or corporation, which the government is, to within a legal framework of things that they can't act ultra-virus to. They can't go beyond it. Okay? So these lockdowns have gone quite a bit beyond what they're allowed to do. And I'm going to address some of those issues because I think it's important. By the way, you're never taught this in school, okay? Nobody will teach you this in school, and it's about your rights as enshrined in the Constitution rather than given to you by the Constitution. So I see Irish Dave there saying, I'm very camp with the pink gin. Dave, not many men can pull off pink gin. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that. Okay, so where will we start? Okay, well, let's start with the Constitution. The Constitution is a book of articles of a constitution, the same as any company, and can be purchased in Eason's for around €3. It's also on the statute book, and if you Google Irish Constitution, you can download it for free. So that's that. And then the Breda Cassidy, no, it's not iced water, but there's plenty of ice in the pink gin. So I'll have another sip, and cheers to y'all, because I know a lot of people are coming online. And I'm just looking there, 384 online at the minute, so that's good. Okay, let's start. Let's get into this. I don't intend to be too long, but this is going to be very, very important for a lot of you people. And I know there's so many people with small businesses and hairdressers, and while I speak lightly tonight, we got to look at the seriousness of this. So firstly, I want to say I'm not asking anybody to endanger the lives of anybody else, but you got to understand that there are so many people running small businesses tonight who are absolutely at their wits' end between mental health problems and depression and anxiety and worrying for their kids and their businesses, that, you know, if they can't pay their mortgages, there are the thoughts of being dragged from your home and everything by these gangsters. So we'll kick off. Constitution. So, can anybody talk about the Constitution? Do you need a lawyer to tell you about the Constitution? No, you don't, and I'll tell you why. If you have the ability to read and understand plain English, then you can understand the Constitution. And the Constitution is not to be read in a legalistic way. Legalese means it can, you know, black can mean white, free can mean in prison, dead can mean alive, person can mean corporation, understand can mean stand under. You know, legalese is all different things. The Constitution was not like that. So you got to remember, the Constitution was left by your grandparents, my grandparents, and some of our great-grandparents. And you got to remember where our Constitution came from. Our Constitution came because of a very oppressive crown system that we had here that was designed to rob people of their rights and their properties, a bit like what's going on today, and the crown is still behind it, by the way. So our Constitution basically not left us with rights, but basically enshrined the rights we had. So here, let's go with this. Okay, so O'Higgins CJ, a Supreme Court judge, said the following. He noted that there was no express qualification of the phrase all decisions in the Constitution, and there had been no statute passed since to limit that unfettered right of appeal. He was talking about appeal. But then he goes on to say, the Constitution as the fundamental law of the state must be accepted, interpreted, and construed according to the words which are used. And these words, where the meaning is plain and unambiguous, must give their literal meaning. Of course, the Constitution must be construed as a whole and not merely in parts, and where doubts or ambiguity exist, regard may be had for other provisions of the Constitution and to the situation which obtained the laws which were in force when it was enacted. Plain words, however, must be given to their plain meaning unless qualified or restricted by the Constitution itself. Okay, so basically what that's saying is, if you know how to read English, there's no trick words in the Constitution. The plain words of the Constitution mean what they mean. Okay, so let me start off with the most important article of the Constitution. And it's Article 41.11. Okay, it says the state recognises the family as the natural, primary and fundamental unit group of society and as a moral institution. Possessing means you have them. The state recognises you possess them. The Constitution isn't saying we'll give you these rights, or nor is the state saying we'll give you these rights, because if a state gives you rights, it can also take them away. So remember that. So it says that as a moral institution possessing inalienable, imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. Okay, now let's break that down a little bit. Okay, so first of all, the state recognises the family and that we have inalienable, imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. So a bit of a mouthful in that. So inalienable and imprescriptible. Well, inalienable means, that they can't be given away, not possible to give away. Imprescriptible, can't be written away. Antecedent means time immemorial, from way, way back. Superior means obviously above, far superior to all positive law. Now, what is positive law? Well, positive law, if you Google it, is what's normally called acts and statutes or man-made law. So the Health Act, with all these restrictions, is positive law. I remember doing an interview recently on Midlands Radio where the DJs, because they're paid to push the COVID nonsense, were slagging me off because this was emergency legislation. Emergency legislation. Well, you see, it doesn't say superior to positive law. It says superior to all positive law. So if you're going to read this in the plain English like you're supposed to, it doesn't matter if it's positive law or emergency positive law. The rights of the family are superior to all positive law, including emergency positive law. Okay, that's the first issue. So now we know that as a family, if you want to exercise any of your inalienable, imprescriptible rights, which are antecedent, you can exercise them because they're superior to all positive law. So if you want to go to your grannies with your children, you can do that. You want to travel more than 6 kilometres, you can do that. If you want to open your business because you have to feed your family, which are superior to all positive law, of course you can do that as well. All I'm saying is that we need to be careful because there is a virus out there, and just take precautions. Now, like, the children are still going to school. So what is the difference in somebody having a hairdresser if they're going to be careful too? We all have common sense, and it seems we have far more common sense than others. Somebody said, can you get in touch with Tracy Manny to collaborate to help us? Well, I know Tracy, she's a good girl. She's more into the statute law. I'm not sure she's well up on this, but maybe she is. I don't know. I'd never heard her really talking too much about constitutional rights, but it appears to me she's a very bright lady, a very nice lady, And I'm quite sure she is well up on the Constitution, because I've often heard her saying that she won't be accepting these draconian laws and she's going to do as she pleases. So she obviously understands it, okay? So let's just put that out there. She knows exactly what I'm going to tell you as well. So that's the first article, and that is the best article. Now remember, we're all family because you're family by marriage. So even if your parents aren't married, your grandparents probably were, and therefore, we are all. Somebody said, "What do you say at checkpoints?" And 60 something guards fine you. Yeah, we'll go through all that. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we will go through all that, and I see there's 566 people on, so I'll try not to drag it out too long, but get to the important points. Okay. With the idea of the guards coming into your home and stuff like that, let me explain something to you. You heard in that last article that I read out, 41.11, I kept emphasising all positive law, okay? So there's a difference in the Constitution between law and positive law. Again, in the plain English meaning, when the constitutional writers want to use the word law, they were talking about natural law. Or if they were talking about positive law, they were talking about man-made law, acts and statutes. So there's a difference. And sometimes the Gardaí don't know this, and that's why I'm explaining this for their benefit also tonight. So let me give you Article 44.1. No citizen shall be deprived of his liberty save in accordance with law. Now, there's the difference. That is not positive law. That is law. Okay, so what that means is murder, theft, rape, assault, defamation, kidnapping, any of those things is law. So a Gardaí can enter your home, kick your door in if they felt you had murdered someone, okay? But there is a common misperception from Gardaí and some lawmakers out there that the Gardaí can enter your home on a warrant based on some positive law. That is not true, and that is in breach of your constitutional protections, not rights, protections, okay? So, if a law is broken, yes. Now, because we live in a republic, remember this, all power comes from the people. If I seen someone stabbing a child on the road and they ran into their home, I too can go and kick in the hall door and arrest that person. Yes, hi to Tracy O'Mahony is correct. I can do that, and that's why the Gardaí have the power to do that as well. Because remember, all power comes from the people, so the people must have it first, and then they can, delegate it to the Gardaí and to the government to do it for them. In other words, I don't have to be out there now kicking in doors where people are stabbing each other. We have entrusted the Gardaí to do that. Now, because you, we, all of us, we the people, because we have delegated those powers to the Gardaí, doesn't mean we have lost those powers. So a famous saying that you should always try and remember is, we do not surrender our sovereignty to the agencies that serve us. Okay, so remember that. You do not surrender your rights or your sovereignty to the agencies that serve us. Okay, so no citizen shall be deprived of his liberty save in accordance with law. So you cannot be stopped, arrested, put in jail unless you broke a law, not positive law, a law. Remember this. Then if we go to the same section of the Constitution, it's 44.5. The dwelling of every citizen is inviolable and shall not be forcibly entered save in accordance with law. So again, there you have the law as opposed to positive law. And what again that means is that, anything can be forcibly entered into if it's to do with law, okay? Now remember, your dwelling, is your home. So the Gardaí already know this. You remember the last time they were talking about they'll break into your home to see if there's more than 6 people in the home. They simply can't do that. Now, remember, if you open the door to them, they may take that as an invitation to come in. So you can basically talk through a locked door or open a window upstairs and talk to them that way and tell them it's none of their business and to leave, okay? So, for those people, by the way, who might think they don't understand any of this, if you just want to play with games with the COVID laws as they stand, and that's the COVID positive laws, I see that you're allowed 6 people in your home, but from the one family, I think, and then you're allowed, is it 14 at a funeral? So if the lockdown was to go to Christmas, you could invite people around to the funeral of your turkey, and you can cremate it in the oven, because they just said a funeral, they didn't say of what. All right. Anyway, that's just a little joke. We'll keep going on. Somebody said put your phone sideways. Will that help? Okay, maybe that will help. Okay, somebody says, okay, I think that's running better, is it? Anyway, I hope it is. Okay, so we keep going. So the dwelling. Now, let me just go to something here. I just have to move this out of the way because I want to just go to something here. Okay, so, Let me just go down on this here now. Okay, so this is what is on the citizens' information on the website. And this is why I say to be careful, because they will want... No, I have to turn this up the other way because it's just in my way. Sorry about that now. Sorry about that. So, this is what's on citizens' information, and I'm going to show you why it's slightly wrong. So what they say is, in relation to the inviolability of the citizens' dwelling, according to citizens' information, is the Constitution declares that the dwelling of a citizen is inviolable and shall not be entered forcibly except in accordance with law. This means that no one, including the Gardaí, may enter the place where you live without a warrant or other legal authority to enter. That's simply wrong. I mean, they can enter with a warrant, provided it is where you broke the law. If it's for positive law, they cannot come in because it's safe in accordance with law, not positive law. Okay, so remember that. So that would be like, because you didn't pay a parking fine, you're telling me the guards can kick in your door and come in. No, they can't. That's why I'm just saying that to you. And then there was a theory on law and positive law, and it was written that natural law, theory of law, legal systems have a function to secure justice. Grossly unjust laws, like white people may own black people as slaves, or women may not own property or vote, okay? They are really not laws at all, but a perversion of law or a mere violence. As Saint Augustine put it, lex injustia non est lex, basically mean a non-just law is no law at all. Thomas Aquinas' way of stating this point was, positive law has its purpose to the common good of the community. Any positive law which conflicts, is inconsistent with either natural law or divine law, is not really law at all. Hence, not only is there no moral obligation to obey it, but there is a legal obligation. But there's no legal obligation to obey it either. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas and Martin Luther King are all supporters of this view. Obviously Martin King being the great civil rights leader, and I am very much into civil rights as well. And what it's saying is, if it's not for the common good of the community, well, I think lockdowns, not feeding your family, people suffering with mental health, taking their lives, and for what? A flu that 99 point blah 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 percent of us are going to make it out of it anyway. So it's not for the common good. So, and then who decides what the common good is? I know the common good for me and my family. I don't know what that is, and that's for us to go out, walk on the hill of Tara. If I need to go out and make some money, then I've got to do that. That's the common good. But it doesn't matter. My family rights and your family rights are superior to all. Now, I just want to read a case. This is about people who were asking then, well, if you get stopped at a checkpoint, what do you do? Okay, so there's a very good principle in law that you're either under arrest or you're free to go. Okay, now remember that. That's very important. You'll often see on TV programs, sometimes they be good reality or sometimes they're just like The Bill or whatever. And you'll see when people come in for questioning, they'll say things like, now, you're not under arrest, so you're free to go. And that is always the principle. Remember that. You're either under arrest or free to go. But I want to give it to you from a High Court case. It's Takir Omar and the Governor of Clover Hill Prison, High Court record number 2013, number 1968, SS. SS means stateside. So someone was in prison, and that means stateside. And this was obviously some application to get him out. But I just reading a little bit. The judge says, in these circumstances, I do not think that the Austin principles have any application to the quite different issues arising from the presence of the police within the family home. In any event, the law in relation to the meaning of liberty in Article 44(1) of the Constitution is crystal clear. There is no halfway house between liberty, unfettered by restraint, and arrest. And that's a famous quote going back to the 1930s from Dunn versus Clinton in the Supreme Court. So there is no halfway house between the unfettered liberty of a citizen and arrest. Either you're under arrest or free to go. So, when you're stopped at a Garda checkpoint, there's a number of things. You're entitled to privacy, freedom of travel, family rights. So you can be nice to a guard. Listen, they're only doing their job and they don't know any of this, and it's new to them as well. And sometimes because they read this legislation, they think it must be constitutional. Most of these new legislations are not constitutional, but the government know by the time they're challenged, they're hoping this COVID nonsense will be over and everybody will just obey them anyway. Somebody said, can I ask what the definition is of the family? Is it on marital family or does it apply to single parent families? Well, they say it's based on marriage, but they didn't define the marriage structure. So, like if you think of your grandparents, if they're married, well then you're the children of a married couple in the family. Also, the government can't have it both ways because they say the family courts has jurisdiction over the unmarried families. Well, if that's the case, then they have to accept it. You can't cherry pick and say, well, that's a family for today, but if I'm looking for jurisdiction over them today, that's a different thing. So that's no good, okay? Now, so with the Gardaí, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these powers, alleged powers that were given are not constitutional. And like I said at the start, because all power comes from the people, you can't delegate a power you don't have. I can't stop my neighbour travelling. It doesn't matter if he has the flu or not. It doesn't matter if he's COVID or not. I can't tell him not to go down to the shop and get some food for his family. I can't tell him that he has to shop within this region and he can't go 6 kilometres. I can't tell him to stop opening his shop so he brings home money to feed his family. I can't do any of those things, and rightly so. Nor would I want to be one of those Nazi people trying to enforce those powers on someone. So if I don't have it, the government can't have it because all power comes from the people. Okay. More in point perhaps is the people, Director of Public Prosecutions versus O'Loughlin. In that case, the Court of Criminal Appeal held that the accused had been de facto arrested when he'd been conveyed in a Garda car from Carrick-on-Suir Garda Station to Clonmel Garda Station without having been formally arrested. This was held to be a form of unlawful detention. As for O'Higgins CJ, again from the Supreme Court, said, holding for questioning and taking into custody and detaining are merely different ways of describing the act of depriving a man as of his liberty. To do so without lawful authority, not legal authority, right? To do so without lawful authority is in open defiance of Article 40.41 of the Constitution. Okay? So what this means is the Gardaí can't detain you. So look, if you are coming up to a Garda checkpoint and the guard says, look, where are you going, blah, blah. I just said, look, guard, what I normally say is, look, guard, I'm not trying to be funny. I don't want to annoy you or anything. I want you to respect my privacy and I want you to respect the constitutional protections that I have as a member of a family, and therefore you took an oath of office to uphold those rights. That was your job. That was your job. You took that oath to uphold. So, here's what the Garda oath says. I hereby solemnly and sincerely declare before God that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a member of the Garda Síochána with fairness, integrity, regard for human rights, diligence and impartiality, upholding the Constitution and the laws and according equal respect to all people. Okay? And then it goes on to say, while I continue to be a member, I will, to the best of my skill and knowledge, discharge all my duties according to the law. And I do not belong to and will not, while I remain a member of a Garda, belong or subscribe to any political party or secret society. That's basically it. Okay, so the Garda oath is to uphold those principles that I've given you. Okay, let's go down a little bit further. The judge's oath of office. So now, if you were ever brought to court for exercising the rights of your family, okay, the judge's oath of office says, according to Article 35(2) of the Constitution, all judges shall be independent in their exercise of their judicial functions and subject only to the Constitution and the law. Every person appointed as a judge must take the oath set out in Article 34(6)(1) of the Constitution as follows. In the presence of Almighty God, I do solemnly and certainly promise and declare that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my knowledge and power execute the office of, and then it's Chief Justice or Judge of the High Court or whatever it might be, without fear or favour, affection or ill will towards any man. Okay, so that's not the corporation. And that I will uphold the Constitution and the laws. May God direct and sustain me. So that's the judge's job, is to uphold the Constitution and the laws. Okay? Now, a couple of things you can do if stopped by the guards. Remember, in any criminal investigation, and guards can only be involved in criminal, not civil. Remember that. So if you're only going out shopping or delivering food to an elderly woman, or you just want to go for a walk in the Hill of Tara, that couldn't be criminal, could it? So the Gardaí shouldn't be involved in that. So, if it's criminal and the Gardaí start getting involved, because I see they want to put you in jail for a month and they want to fine you, so that'll never happen, by the way. They know it. It's a bluff. They absolutely know it. It'll never happen. Your answer to the guard should be, I want you to respect my privacy, uphold the Constitution like you swore to, and you could just say, my journey is lawful. I wouldn't give any more further information than that. Just, my journey is lawful. Now, if you were to say something else, you might incriminate yourself, because the guard thinks this could be criminal, because if you're going to jail, it would have to be criminal. So if you were to say, well, I'm just out fanning around because I want to, now you're starting to incriminate yourself. And the criminal law is very clear. You do not have to incriminate yourself. So that's why you stick to, my journey is lawful. Okay? If it's a thing you're going to visit someone sick, or give them food provisions, you cannot give that information to a guard, because that's against GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulations. Okay? If a guard is getting stroppy with you, okay, I normally say, am I under arrest? Right? And make sure you get an answer to that question. And if you're going to ask that question, you should have your camera recording on your phone. You ask, am I under arrest? Because you remember at the very start I told you, there is no halfway house between arrest and liberty. Liberty means free to go, okay? So the question, am I under arrest? No. Thank you. Have a nice day. Away you go. Now, once that's recorded, if that goes all the way to the Supreme Court, some guard will get into trouble if he tries to do you for heading off at that stage. Because the law is very clear in so many cases. I mean, if you Google halfway house, between the unfettered liberty of a citizen and freedom, you'll find it in many, many cases, and from the Supreme Court. So that's the question if a guard starts to get stroppy with you. Am I under arrest? The minute he says no, just say, have a nice day, and off you go. Okay, now don't run anyone down if they're in the way, obviously. I wouldn't like to do that. If he says, yes, you're under arrest, okay, I can't see that happening. Okay, but if he did, you then say, I'll exercise my right to remain silent. And that's where I'd leave that. And then I wouldn't talk to the guard until you were released, or get yourself a solicitor at that stage, because I don't know what you could be arrested for. Because one, you only asked, was you under arrest? If no, it's have a nice day. If yes, throw away the key, right? Now, also remember, the Irish Constitution recognises and declares that people living in Ireland have certain fundamental personal rights. For example, the Constitution does not specifically state a right to privacy. Like I said to you, you told the guard I have a right to privacy. But the courts recognise that personal rights in the Constitution imply a right to privacy. And of course, a court couldn't ask you what you do in your bedroom with your wife, because it's private, it's private. That's why. So the courts can't trespass. It's what's known as trespassing on a private matter. So that's why you're entitled to privacy. Where are you going? I'm entitled to privacy, but my journey is lawful. Okay? Bodily integrity. You have the right not to have your body or person interfered with. This means the state may not do anything to harm your life or your health. Well, if it can't harm your life and your health, then it cannot infringe on whatever mental health issues you may have, where a walk on Tara Hill or on a beach may help that mental health issue. And because I am overly concerned by the suicides taking place in this country and what this lockdown is going to do. Secondly, in the Constitution, one of the other rights that is not basically, in print, if you like, but it's the right to earn a livelihood. As a citizen, you have the right to work and earn a living, whether you are male or female. Remember that. So, if you have a little barber shop and you're concerned about the mortgage or whatever it is, I'm telling you, open it up, take precautions, do the social distance thing and all that sort of stuff. But you have the right to earn a living, and no government has the right to stop you doing that. So remember, folks, somebody asked me, am I against government and stuff like that? No, I'm absolutely not. I want to tell you what I like to do. I like to hold the government to account when it breaks the law or acts in an ultra-virus fashion. And because people like me who are civil rights activists, because we do this, we stop the growth of Nazism ever happening again, okay? And fascism. We try to stop that at all costs. Another right in the Constitution is you have the right to move freely within the state, and you also have a broader right to travel to get a passport for the purpose of travelling, okay? So again, they're all rights. Now, people will say there's no such thing as an absolute right in the Constitution. That's correct. But your God-given rights are absolute rights. Remember that. And your family rights, because the Constitution, in other words, without a Constitution, there can be no guards, there can be no judges, there can be no government. So their rights are not absolute. But yours as a family are, because you can override any positive law. Okay? So remember that. Now, I just want to see, is there any questions? Because I did say I'd take a few, so I'll just flick back. Somebody says the driver closed the door and drove off. Okay, just be careful driving off, right? It's not a big issue. Just, am I under arrest? No. Have a nice day. And just slowly take away. Don't create any hassle. And if he shouts after you, just stop again. Sorry, officer, was there anything else I can assist you with? Where are you going? I want to know where you're going. Sorry, I have the right to privacy. You're now trespassing on a private matter. My journey is lawful. Okay, so that's just the sort of interactions I do have, I did that one of the days. There was a band guard getting a little bit cranky with me the other day, and she wanted to know where I was going. I said, guard, look, I don't believe in all this nonsense. I just want you to respect my privacy. She asked me, where did I live? I said, I live everywhere, otherwise I'd be dead. And she wanted to know where I was going. I said, respect my privacy. And then she basically just said, right, go ahead, have a nice day. I said, have a nice day. So always be polite, though. It's a hard job for them too. They don't know whether they're coming and going with all this bullshit, okay? But they do know they can't break into your house and all that, And even if you were arrested, there's no way a court will put you in jail and fine you for exercising your rights. By the way, there's a famous case in America, and people say, oh, that's different. It's not different. It's a republic like us, where all power comes from the people. And it's known as the Miranda case. I don't know if you ever heard of Miranda rights. The Miranda rights is where a Garda reads your rights. That's where that came from, that Miranda case in America, where on arrest you have to be told what your rights are, and you have to be also told why you are being arrested. So remember, they call it Miranda rights. But in that same Supreme Court case in the United States, it says there can be no lawmaking that takes away your God-given rights. And that's absolutely correct. So I think that's it. There's a lot in that little video that if you want to, listen back to it a couple of times, go check it out yourself. Go check the Constitution, download it. But anyway, somebody says, I think they do, but you will receive wouldn't be worth your time. I don't know what that is. Let's see. I just want to see if there's any. I'm wondering if it's possible to go on a bus to Knock, Mayo, Claremorris to go and shopping, as I don't have a car. There is a centre in, but I would prefer to go to Super Value. I don't know if buses are going to be running, but certainly if there's a bus running, you get on the bus. And again, remember, if you're feeding your family or you're doing anything for the family will override any of those draconian laws taking away your rights to feed your family, to go to work, to earn a living, to visit a granny. I mean, to look at a dying loved one. Any of those things are just absolutely correct. Oh, somebody just reminded me to say, finally, there's a protest tomorrow at 2 p.m. on O'Connell Bridge in Dublin. So just remember that. Somebody said here, let me see. Ben, if I open my salon tomorrow morning, if the guards do happen to arrive, what's the best thing to say? Well, the first thing I'd say is, I'm taking part in lawful activity. My family need me in this business to bring home money and food. I have the right to make a living, and I'd prefer if you left my premises immediately. That's what I would do. And, just record everything, of course. Somebody said, what of approach for not wearing a mask in a shop? Just walk away from them. I never wear a mask anywhere anymore. And people just say to me, have you got a mask? I normally just, no. And that's it. Or just say I'm exempt or whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go into too much. What about the law on masks? Well, again, when you say law, you're talking about positive law. So remember, the family is above all positive law. And that's why they can't put masks on children. They can't force it because they know for the fact that the children is part of a family. So remember that. Somebody said, what a great video full of information. Thanks, Mark. And just want to say thank you, Ben. Just want to see if then. What about everyone going to the protest tomorrow? Well, again, you just go and that's it. Thanks, Ben. Have call grandson Friday and tip. Yep. What is this lockdown will do? Bring down your immune system after 6 weeks. It'll be weak to fight any sickness. Yeah, well, John Kern, that's obviously a different matter than this particular video just tonight. I didn't want to get into the pros and the cons of masks or lockdowns and all. I've done videos on that and I'll continue to do that. But I just had an awful lot of people on to me in relation to their rights as in from midnight tonight. As in from midnight tonight, our family here will obtain and retain all the rights we had at 5 to 12. We will still have them intact at 5 past 12 at midnight. Just think about it. How could your rights be gone at midnight? They're only a government, Somebody says, does a store manager have a right to stop you entering a shop without a mask, saying it's at the shop's right to refuse admission? Okay, there's a couple of things about that. It depends on the shop. A lot of stores can have the right to refuse you admission, but not essential shops like food and that, because they're absolute human rights to go and get food. But there's other shops that might go beyond what the law says. I mean, everybody is allowed to wear a mask if they want. And, of course, you're allowed not wear a mask if you're exercising a constitutional right. For any store to operate in this country, they must do so under the Constitution. That's the laws of the country. And because I'm telling you what your rights are under those, well then the no more than the courts or the guards can operate outside the Constitution, neither can the stores of this country or the Facebooks or anyone else operate outside the Constitution either, because nobody in this country can act in an unconstitutional manner, because we the people have adopted the Constitution for ourselves. That's what it says at the very start. Okay. Somebody says, what's your feeling on going on our own boat on a lake more than 5 kilometres, please? Now, to me, it doesn't matter if you're going on horseback, donkey, camel or a boat. You can go past 5 kilometres. Unless, of course, you see when you're going 5 kilometres, there's a sign on the road with a big picture of a coronavirus danger, coronavirus area. Then I might take a little U-turn or something. Somebody said, what's the story of not being allowed into a nursing home to visit your elderly? Again, you have the right to visit your elderly. And if you kicked up enough of a fuss and threatened to sue people, nobody can separate the family. The family is higher than all positive law. Remember that. But again, I'm not telling people to be reckless. Old people in these homes are, more susceptible to this. So just remember that, okay? But at the same time, these people shouldn't be abandoned at this time. That's terrible. Somebody says, how does it work if you want to travel across the border to Derry? Well, now you see, you're going out of a constitutional republic and you're going into a crown system that luckily enough we got rid of here. Do you mean Londonderry? I'm joking, but just you got to be just careful on that. Remember, this is really strictly to the Republic of Ireland that I'm talking about. Somebody says, not if I am opening, and thank you. Don't really know what that means. I think somebody's saying they're opening the shop, and fair play to them. Look, as one guy said, even if you didn't know anything about the law and you have a little shop and you need it for your family and your food and your mortgage and whatever else, because I see the banks today saying they're not giving mortgage holders a break. Now imagine, this is in a country where we bailed out the banks we were forced to do it, which was unconstitutional, but we were forced to bail them out. Only for that, they wouldn't even be here now. We should have public banking in this country. So, feck the banks. That's my attitude anyway. And the sooner they're gone out of this country and public banking is in, better. Somebody said, any child over 2. Sorry, what was that? Any child over 2. And it's scroll out. Just gone too quickly on me. Sorry, it's going too quick there. I didn't get it. Sorry about that. Somebody said something about a child over 2. What to do when on public transport? You can't wear a mask, exception or disability. What do you do if you say you're forced to wear one? Well, if somebody forces you to wear one and they force you to wear one, well then wear one if you have to get somewhere. But sue them afterwards. And that's it. Somebody says, can we use that law in terms of our teenage kids in school regarding wearing masks? Absolutely. The same way as I wrote a non-consent letter to my children's schools about vaccines. And I must say, I got very positive responses from the school teachers, which I want to thank them publicly for. One of the head teachers wrote back and said that we have got your letter. We will respect your wishes exactly as laid out in your letter, and under no circumstances will your children be given vaccines. So that's what that is. Somebody said big business are kept open, small business are to be run into the ground. Absolutely. And this is why I'm saying to you, Anne Cunningham says Wi-Fi was cut off. And you can be able to watch it back anyway. I'm going to share this video on the Facebook. But somebody said small business are going to be ruined. Look they've already ruined the small businesses. The hospitality sector is on its feet. Small businesses, barbers, hairdressers, beauticians, all of these businesses are being decimated, where people need that money to live, and there's people struggling to make ends meet and committing suicide and seriously eating depression tablets and all that. That has to stop, folks, and that's why the family protects itself, and that's why your rights in the Constitution as a family are superior to all positive law. Somebody says you have to show your license. Look, if you're driving on the road, you're sort of agreed to contract by the road. Obviously, you go as far as you can without people interfering on your rights, but don't start creating hassle for yourself. Like the guard asked me where I lived and blah, blah. Then she asked me for her licence. Now, I could have been smart and said, look, I'm not giving you a licence, I'm not giving you anything because the family's overturned all of that. Now, you're letting me on my way. But I didn't. I just showed me licence. Then she could see my address was in Meath and I went on. But it didn't matter, you know. Now, let's see. Thank you, Ben. Love it. Thank you all. Information, great information. Start networking in your area. Okay, so now somebody said every job that pays for food to the table is essential. Absolutely, absolutely, John Conway. I don't know anybody who goes to work just for the pleasure of it and doesn't bother getting paid. And I haven't said that there are some very good volunteers out there. But in any event, absolutely. If you have a job, it doesn't matter if you're a cleaner, a beautician, a barber, a plumber, whatever it is. You go to work because it's essential. You have to put food on the table. So that's that. Somebody says, thank you, Ben. You've shown me a real light in this dark tunnel. Thank you so much. You are fantastic. Well, what a very bright lady or man that is, whoever made that comment. That's the most truthful thing I've heard all night. Anyway, thanks very much for that. I hope the bright light at the end of the tunnel isn't an oncoming train, though. All of our human rights are being taken away. Well, this is a thing, Mikey Gaffney, was it? Mikey, I often hear people saying this about our rights are being taken away. So actually, that's something that I didn't cover. So let me just cover that, okay? When it comes to the family in Article 41.1.1, I should have gone through. I did go through, but let me just say it again because people are probably arriving late because I see there's 636 people on. The state recognises the family as the natural, primary and fundamental unit group of society as a moral institution possessing, not being given by the Constitution, but possessing the rights already, which are inalienable, imprescriptible, okay? Can't be given away, can't be taken away. That's what those two words means, inalienable and imprescriptible. And are antecedent. They existed well before the Constitution, since time immemorial, and are superior to all positive law. So just remember that. I often hear about people taking your rights. You can't even give your rights away. Did you know that? It is not possible for you to give your inalienable rights away, even if you wanted to. Why? Because they're inalienable. They're God-given rights. You can't give them away. What you can merely do, and I defy anybody to give the right away. You can't. All you can do is choose not to exercise the right. But it's impossible to give away a right that was given to us all. So that's what I mean by that. How do you explain shop owners when they don't understand our constitutional rights? Well, look at, the only way you get people to understand when you have rights and they trample on them is sue them. And if you sue them properly in the High Court, although it is expensive for you, it's €190, it's far more expensive for them. And they won't be long learning then. But look, I don't want you doing that to small retailers, who are trying their best. Look, sometimes it's good to talk, it's good to stick with stuff. Can we visit graves outside the 5 mile radius? You can visit anything you want outside the 5 mile radius. It doesn't matter. How can we fight for our teenage kids? Again, we don't need to fight. I don't like using them words in that sense. You can choose to exercise your rights or not exercise your rights. That's it. There's nothing else. So just remember that. Somebody says, is there a march tomorrow? I don't know if it's a march or a protest, and so that's why I don't attend too many protests as such. Like, I do try to get there and support them, but if you actually understand that these are your rights that can't be given away and can't be taken away, what's the panic? There's no panic. Somebody said 15 things you absolutely cannot something. It's a paper. Somebody said you capped it all there, Ben. Thanks very much. I think so. I'll have another little sip of gin. I have to tell you, there's not many men can carry off a pink gin and still look a bit manly, is there? But you see, when you have all your rights and you can exercise them, that brings you back up in the manly scale, doesn't it? Somebody said, Ben, if we manage to get a new rented accommodation, can we move into it? Is it to move into the house during this lockdown? Is that covered? Not sure if we'll be free to make the move. Absolutely. Look, I'm trying to explain this, that your rights are superior to all positive law. So all these mental health acts that appear to take away your rights only has the appearance under the colour of law. Don't know if you know what the colour of law means, but if you Google that again, it means something that pretends it's a law, but it actually isn't. And I think that's what the government are trying to do. Now, I see Micheál Martin again saying that, these lockdowns will continue into next year, 2021 and all. Not for me, folks, and I'm just telling you that. Just remember that, because we have to, please share this video. I'm not doing this for any sort of pride or have a big head or people telling me I'm great. I am all them things, but I'm not doing it for that. No, I'm messing. But I'm just doing it for it's for our children and our grandchildren. What country will we leave for them if we all forget about these rights and nobody exercises them? Remember, your rights are like a muscle, and if you don't exercise them, they become weak and sometimes it won't work at all. So remember, we are fantastic people. I don't know if most people know this. Our constitution is one of the best in the world, and that's why the government keep attacking the family, just in case, I don't want to say about gay marriage or anything like that. It's irrelevant. I'm just saying to you that they're trying to weaken the family unit and what a family is, and they're trying to weaken it the whole time. And, that's why then the abortion was brought in, and there's all these attacks on the family as we know it in the Constitution. The reason for that is that the family was superior to all positive law. Somebody said, so will positive law protect my vulnerable 2-year-old child? Who are you to give advice? Well, positive law doesn't affect your child's health. In fact, you might be forced to vaccinate your child and it could do terrible damage. So I don't really know. I think you're just trying to have a go there, but it's nonsensical. I don't even understand your question. And who am I to give advice? I tell you who I am to give advice. I'm one of the people in We the People. So if you read the Constitution, you'll see that I am one of the people in We the People. So if you don't want any of the advice, why are you on here? Is it just to have a go? Are you Enda Kenny's daughter or something? What are you doing here? Move along. If you think that they can take away your rights and you have to stay within 5-mile radius, well, I want you now, I'm going to bring out a law now for you to put a snooker ball in your mouth and a leather mask on your face and crawl around. Will you do that? Because, if you don't understand what I'm saying, don't have a go. Try to understand it or just move along, Somebody says, I hate saying this, Ben, but I want to relocate in the UK and try to set up a holistic therapy and hypnotherapy business. Yeah, very good. I understand your feeling, but tell me, I just want to explain this to people. Look, the UK and a lot of countries around the world are going to be no better than we are here, and just our constitution is fantastic. What a lot of people don't know is when India broke away from the crown with Gandhi was so impressed with the Irish constitution that they basically adopted it almost word for word as their own constitution, and they actually took the tricolour as their flag as well. Now I know they put the wheel on it and they just turned it upside down or on its side, but that was in respect to the Irish people, So just so to say that. But somebody said you're probably saving more lives tonight. So you're probably saving more lives tonight than anything else. Can you put up a notice in your shop window? Sorry, the things are moving so fast now because we got 680 people on, which is excellent. Somebody says, if I refuse to close my business, I'm really sorry, I can't read them now, they're going just so fast. So let me just say to you, look, I know a lot of business people are on here checking this out. Let's say if you knew none of this, you had option 1 and option 2, because somebody made this comment to me earlier tonight. You have option 1, open your business, pay whatever fine you have, and you still might survive, okay? Option 2, close your business, go bust, go on the dole, not pay your mortgage and lose your home. It's better to go to option 1 even if you didn't know any of your rights, okay? So remember that. But I'm trying to explain to you that as a family, and you are a member of a family whether you like it or not, you have all those rights, and I just want to call them out again. you have that you possess. Now, the Constitution doesn't give them to you, because if I burnt the Constitution in the morning, the Constitution is only recognising you have these rights, okay? So it says inalienable, imprescriptible. That means can't be given away, can't be taken away, antecedent and superior to all positive law. And I said to you that once it's superior to positive law, any positive law that takes away any of your rights, the right to work, the right to earn a living, the right to travel, the right to visit people, any of those rights, you can overturn them as a family. And the beauty about this is the Gardaí have sworn to uphold those rights, and the judges have sworn to uphold the Constitution. Okay, so that makes it clear then. There's no more questions about do I need to open my business or can I need... Now, sometimes, folks, as happened to me before, when you stand up for your rights, you know, there's a lot of people who love control and want to control you, especially in a state, you know, from government, because governments are only corporations. And remember, they're not interested in protecting your rights. They're interested in making money. This is all about vaccinations. Remember that. It's not about anything else. There's going to be so much money to be made on vaccinations, and then so much money on medical bills with people getting sick from them, and so many diseases and everything from the vaccines, that this is big, big money, okay? So again, somebody saying, how do you fight it? You don't fight it. You just exercise your rights. Can a pub reopen? Again, yes, it can. They may take your license off you, but you don't need a license to go to work, because again, from that Miranda case and other cases, it shows you that you cannot license a right, a basic human right, which is the right to make a living, to earn a livelihood for the family, which is the highest unit in our society, higher than all these positive laws and mental health acts that they're bringing out. So, folks, I think I'll finish up. Somebody says, yes, I am. We the people. Yes. Yeah, good girl, Veronica. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. We are all the people. And by the way, I should just explain to you the hierarchy when it comes to the Constitution. God, we the people, the government, the agents of the government, judges, guards, civil servants, right down to citizens. So remember, family right at the top as being we the people. That's why their rights are superior to all underneath. Sometimes the last thing you want to be is a citizen on a citizenship. Okay? I think that's it. If I just want to see if there's just one more. The people of Ireland should be proud of you. Valuable information. Yeah, remember, this isn't my information as such. I'm just trying to clarify it for a lot of people, because I was actually surprised the number of people, when I did something like this before, were asking if what the blue book was that I was referring to, and they didn't even know the Constitution. I'm not blaming them for that, of course, because you're not taught this in school, which I started off with by saying that you're not taught any of this in school. And why do you think that is? Because there's a lot of people there don't want you to know what your rights are. Because if I could convince you had no rights, I wouldn't be long making money on you either, would I? Okay, so somebody else, let me say, be in control, gimp mask, I couldn't think of the name of it, Mark. Now, Mark Green, I'm very concerned that you remembered the name of it, a gimp mask, that's what it was. Somebody says, do you not think paying so much attention to worry and stress in the opposite side is healthy? Energy grows where focus goes. That's why I say, look, at so many people are absolutely stressed out of their heads, which is why I decided to make this video tonight, because I'm very concerned, genuinely now, very concerned about the young people who have started business, have young families, trying to pay a mortgage. I know people who are only getting business back, if you like, and to be closed down again, and they're absolutely suicidal. So I'm trying to say to these people tonight, and remember, we stick together. If anybody goes to court and has been fined for anything where they just said, you know, for exercising their God-given rights, you can't be fined for exercising your God-given rights. But if any court ever decided to do that, which I don't believe they will, I mean, a guard might take your name and he might arrest you and then let you go and say, you'll be hearing from us. bullshit, don't worry about it. And you can always sue people for false arrest and everything like that. You can sue people for breach of trust, because when a Garda takes an oath of office, he takes an oath of office under God to uphold your rights. If he doesn't do that, that's a breach of trust. Okay, so just remember these things. Like, everything is in your favour because we are the people. That's why everything is in our favour. Somebody said snooker behind the 8 ball. Yeah, very good. I'm not Irish originally, but I'm here more than 15 years. That's a good point. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. Again, it went up too quick because I said we've 660 people on, so the comments are flying up. But that's a good point. Somebody said I'm not Irish, in other words, or something to that effect, or I'm only here. So let me just explain that to you. The minute you arrive on our shores, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, Indian, it doesn't matter. You are regarded as being on this land, and as such, you have all the rights to be here, and all the rights of the Constitution apply to everybody here. And that's why, ERA, by the way, a lot of people think ERA is Ireland. It actually means to the earth, Just remember that, all right? Ben, they're already tearing up our Constitution apart. I keep repeating it. Yeah, look at, if I thought I would get away with, tearing up your rights and I could make money out of it, because a huge company was going to pay me for doing all these things so I can introduce vaccines for your children, where I'm going to make huge money on every vaccine your child gets. Well, I wouldn't do it, let's be honest. But I mean, if I was of that persuasion, I would do it too. I would tear up your rights and tell you. But I've already explained the rights are inalienable and imprescriptible. Can't be given away, can't be taken away. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Look up the meaning of those words, by the way. Look up the words. Like, just remember, write down 41.11 of the Constitution and write down the words inalienable, imprescriptible, antecedent. You don't have to write superior, you know what that is. But also Google what positive law is. And once you get a feel of those words, because I started off by saying that this is ordinary English and has to be construed that way from the Constitution. It's not to be understood in a legalistic way. So once you write down the words inalienable, imprescriptible and antecedent, I'm sick of people saying, they're tearing up our rights and they're taking away the rights. If they tore the Constitution tomorrow and tore it up and put it in the fire, it doesn't take away those rights, because the Constitution is not giving you those rights. The Constitution is only recognising that you possess them, because in this it says possessing inalienable and prescriptive rights. It doesn't say the Constitution is giving them to you. It just merely recognises that the family has these rights. And that's why there's no such thing as the taking away these rights. They're attempting to. But you can always exercise your right. The same as I can exercise my eyelids. Look. Now they could bring in a law tomorrow saying I can't exercise my eyelids. But I can. Look. See? So that's all it means. A right, you can choose to exercise a right or not exercise the right. I'm very concerned now because I've seen 666, the number of people on. Anyway, I see Tom Crawford, good friend from the UK, is on. Hi, Tom. So, you can't even give away these rights. I know people are joining late, so I just want to reiterate that. These rights cannot be given away, cannot be taken away. You cannot give your own rights away. Okay, I just want to make that very clear. Even if you wanted to, it's impossible. I have the right to travel. How can I give it away? If somebody can show me a way that I can give away my right to travel. Now, people might say, well, cut your legs off and lock yourself in a room. No. That's me choosing not to exercise the right, but I couldn't give the right away. It's impossible, and that's what it means. Somebody says, what if a guard issues a fine? Yeah, sure, send it back. Return it to him. Or else go to court and say to the guard, I was exercising my right as a family. You swore to uphold the Constitution. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. Well, what are we doing here? And then quote the Supreme Court cases that I gave you. There could be no lawmaking that abrogates your rights. There can't be, okay? Because that would be unconstitutional. If a law takes away your constitutional rights, it's unconstitutional, okay? Somebody said you're helping to keep people sane right now. Yes, and look, I'm not saying me, but I'm just saying it's important that people like me do videos like this, because I genuinely know, and I've had so many calls and messages, and look, my apologies to people who are sending me messages. I just don't have enough hours in my life to get back to everybody, which is why I do these videos, because I just don't have time to get back. But I understand, because the ones that I do get back to, and the stress and the strain and the upset, and I have people literally shaking and crying on the phone to me because of these lockdowns, and they're actually, I'm actually saying, look, would you go and see someone or something, so that's the reason I make these videos, because I understand people's mental health issues, especially at times like this. And if I could save one life, if I can save one life over the next 10 years doing these videos, isn't that fantastic, to say that I saved one life? And I'm sure I'm doing more than that. I'm quite sure, because the number of people that have been on to me begging me to do this video again. And that's why I'm asking you, please share this video. Please do that, because if you do that and you just save one marriage, you save one life, you save one business by sharing it, what a great achievement in your life. I mean, if you never achieved anything else in your life, wouldn't that be a great achievement? Let me see, is there somebody saying businesses after spending a fortune jumping through the government requirements only to be shut down again? Again, yes, you see, and that's terrible. Where people have put up all their COVID signs, put up the measuring, put up the screens, supplied hand sanitizers and everything, and then to be told, no, you're closing down again. Sorry, no. Because where does the government get those rights? Remember I said that somebody just said my son was made leave school for refusing to wear a mask. Sue the school. But look, you don't want to fall out with the school either. So go see the headmaster. Show them your constitutional rights as a family. And also, I did put up a no consent letter to the school. So I explained it to the school. I said, look, I know you think you have to abide by all these obligations under the Health Act and all, but as a family we are overturning them, so you can't inflict them on us. So just to remember that. And the schools were very good with me when they come back. They're Irish speaking schools, so I gave them the Irish version, which was great. They're here in Meath, and I have to say, fantastic schools, fantastic teachers, and fully respectful of the position that I take. Somebody said, Ben, what would happen if the majority of people deregister the votes en masse? Would government collapse? Well, look, we do need a government, to run certain things. It's like, that's why I keep saying I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-bad government. I'm anti-muppets being voted into government. I don't think that helps the country at all. And I'm not trying to be big-headed. I think I would have been great if I had got voted in, because I would be saying you have to respect people's rights. We are a republic. These rights come from the people. We can't take away. Somebody said, why are the government sending out guards on a bluffing mission? Well, in the hope that it works, Julie. But that's all. Listen, I was speaking to a few guards even this evening, and they were telling me that they know that... somebody said they know that it's a bluff exercise. The Gardaí know well that they don't have some of the rights. But of course, an old man used to teach me a law from America in California, really, really sharp guy. And he used to always say to me, and when I used to say, well, what if a guard does this or does that? And he used to always say, well, there's nothing as worse than ignorance in action. But also, you always get remedy by suing someone. And by suing someone, that's the greatest educational lesson you can give them, because it teaches them not to do it again. And not only that, my father used to say, a lesson bought is worth two taught. In other words, if it cost you money to learn the lesson, that's worth a lesson. That's twice as good as a lesson that was just taught to you is one that was bought. Somebody said, what about November the 9th? They're trying to bring in all restrictions into law. Again, Ciara, just if you look back through this video, it's not law, it's positive law, and the rights that I'm speaking about are above all positive law. Somebody said 6 pages of notes taken. Thanks, Ben. Well, Susan, you could just listen back to the video. Maybe you don't want to look at my ugly mush, so notes is probably a good idea. Somebody says, Ben, implications of deregistering. Look, when you consider the implications that I'm trying to explain tonight as the family having superior possessing inalienable, imprescriptible rights antecedent and superior to all positive law, then it doesn't really matter if you register or deregister, because these rights cannot be taken away, cannot be given away. And, you know, that's just the way it is. Somebody says, Bill of Rights, stand up people, we all need to get this country we're being lied to, that's treason, we're being controlled, that's tyranny. Yeah, that's correct. And look, as I say to you, remember, these are all corporations. They're here to make profit. Think about all the laws that government have brought out. Say, well, let's be fair, not just this government. So let's go back even for the last 30 years. All the laws they brought out, all the taxes, all the things. None of them are to your benefit. It's for the benefit of them and their corporate friends. Don't you remember Golfgate, where the judges went there, where the vulture fund directors went there, where they changed a positive law to make it easier for the banks to rob your homes? That's because they're paid off. Well, many times we heard brown envelopes. I mean, we laugh at it now, but the money that these guys make from doing this. So just to remember that they're not here for your benefit. Okay, they're here. It's like a game. They're here to take as many as your rights away so they can make a whole load of money. I'm here to protect your rights and to let you know they can't be given away. All you can do is choose not to exercise them. Just want to say hello to Raymond Whitehead, founder of Direct Democracy. Direct Democracy actually was a great provision in our first two constitutions, and we tried to get elected under a Direct Democracy banner. And of course, for some reason, the people just kept voting Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. I mean, that just blows my mind, because these are the people taking away your rights. Somebody says we need a bottle of gin. I just want to read that again. Somebody says we owe you a bottle of gin. I have to be honest, you all owe me a bottle of gin. Gordon's pink gin, by the way. I don't accept anything else. And to that, I'm going to drink and say cheers, my pink gin.
You're a cheeky pup.
My wife says that's cheeky. Anyway, they can abuse our rights, but they cannot take them away from us. Well, they will always try to abuse your rights. I mean, let's be honest. The state and, abused our children. Well, not mine, but, the country's children for years. So remember that. And they will always try to abuse your rights, because money is made out of abusing people's rights. Somebody said, Ben, what would happen if the majority... I'm sorry, just gone too fast. Sorry, Toddy. We need to open our minds, explore all options. We'll be forever fighting, but we open not just one-sided, and if we don't know all. Right, okay. Well, look, again, the word fighting and all, remember, it's not to do with fighting. Don't get into fighting, because, again, that's not good for your mental health. Everybody thinks it's a fight and a struggle. It's not. This is actually much easier than you think. And quite often, if you go with the fight mentality... okay, to a guard. And look, most guards I deal with are terrific. I just want to tell you that. Most guards actually know your rights and will respect you for standing up for your rights, okay? But there's ways to do it. Somebody said, where's SJ? Where's SJ? SJ, you better come in and say hello. Here, they can't see you.
I don't want them to.
Don't want them. Now you can. There you go.
Pajamas, Ben.
She's in her pajamas. So anyway, sure, she's on the picture there behind me, look. But so get the fight mentality out of your head. That's why I keep saying, when we go to these, not protests, but gatherings, peaceful gatherings, that I always ask Antifa and those people to stay away, please. It has nothing to do with fighting. It's nothing to do... Actually, Antifa supposedly stands for anti-fascist. What I'm trying to teach you is how you protect yourself from fascist governments taking away your rights. I'm anti-fascist. That's why I'm doing this video tonight. So I don't know what part these people don't get that, but they attack us when we try to stop fascism in its very raw state. So just to say that. But get fight mentality out of your head, and I'm going to tell you why. Human nature is just a thing that, if you're argumentative, look, I like Gemma Doherty, right? I do. But sometimes, she mightn't handle the situation well with a guard. And if there was one piece of advice I could give her, and look, she's a great lady, I'm not going to have a go at her. I'm not having a go at her. I just want to make that very clear. But if there's one piece of advice I could give her, it's just to try a slightly different approach. because my approach with Gardaí is normally much nicer and normally much beneficial. Because, look, we're the people. We have asked them to do a job protecting us and upholding our rights. Now, having said that, if you go and abuse them and have a go at them or whatever, that's not going to end well, because you go with the fight mentality about fighting for your rights and fight. And I'm trying to teach you a new way of doing it. First of all, deep breath, relax, and then, hello, guard. I'm just on a lawful journey. Do you mind me asking where you're going? No, I don't mind you asking, but I want you to respect my privacy, which was one of the rights in the Constitution. Have a nice day. You know, it's easy. It's easy. Somebody said, tuned in from Fleetwood, England, Catherine McGaughy, I think is the name. Catherine, I'm sorry you're in England, love. This Constitution doesn't apply to you. although it was given to us by King George, and so therefore you could say, if King George gave the Irish those rights, well, surely I'm entitled to them as well in England. But you do have your Bill of Rights and your Magna Carta and everything, and all these rights are basically there as well. So it's just different sort of articles. I'm only trying to be funny because I have a load of English friends and I better say hello to them all. So I'm going to finish up in about 2 minutes. So if people want to just put up quick questions, I'll try and get them before they... somebody says, my wife refused treatment from a doctor for failing to wear a mask, and as a result we have been removed from his practice. A doctor for failing to wear a mask has been removed from his practice.
No, she has been removed.
Oh, she has been removed from his practice, and that's ridiculous. Look, as I said, maybe you need to just... Look, the best way is to sit down and explain with these people, you know. Somebody said we need a debate ASAP on what's best, not just people who have their pockets in mind. Greater good means everyone here in Ireland. Yes, Caroline, I assume, you know, you're talking about, you know, people maybe getting affected with COVID, and I did start off by saying that. But at the same time, irrespective of anybody having COVID, you know, we also got to look at the respect for the elderly people in, you know, nursing homes that want to see their family, that may have only days of life left through old age. We got to think of young people who are committing suicide through this. And let me tell you, there's more people committing suicide than have died from COVID in this country so far. And, you know, I'm not diminishing anybody's lives, by the way, but mostly the people who have died were in their old age. And the flu normally would take a lot of those people. And again, you know, I'm not, you know, a tragedy when anybody dies in a family. But it is a bigger tragedy no matter how we look at it. When a young man or young woman takes their life, which was totally preventable because their business closed down or they couldn't feed their family, suicide, depression. What?
Even the fear that they're...
Yeah, as my wife says, even the fear of it, you know, brings on depression, anxiety, and people taking their own lives. And that's the real tragedy, okay? So just to remember that. Somebody says, my daughter's nose bleed from wearing, from wearing masks. Again, look, you know, you got to protect your family properly. And this isn't, by the way, your life is more important than mine or whatever. That's why I said to people at the very start, I'm not telling people to be reckless. I'm telling people to be careful. You know, even if we all have good immune systems, you know, there's people who hasn't, and just be careful around people. That's all. You know, take the precautions. But let's be honest, how can your kids go to school, but I can't open my barber's up the road if I haven't taken the precautions? It just doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't, and there's no sense to this at all. And if nobody can see that this is a push for vaccines, then I can't help you, because you just will not get it. Somebody says solicitors don't fight for constitutional rights. It's all statutes and acts they work in, like you said. Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't trust the solicitor as far as a throwing. They know the game. They know it's rigged, and once they can keep you dumb about your rights, that's how they... Because the rights can't be taken from you, but you can be fooled into not exercising them. You see, and that's what solicitors do, and that's what all that language and statutes and acts are about. But, you know, somewhere in the system, it still has to remain somewhere respectful. And when you get to the Supreme Court, you will see that, you know, people understand this. So look, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, there's some sort of gathering at O'Connell Bridge in Dublin. Protect yourselves, bankers run the government. Yeah, exactly, because I see the government wanted the banks to give people a bit of a break during this lockdown, and the bank said no. And trust me, folks, we need public banking in this country and get rid of those corrupt criminals off the planet. Never mind out of our country, get them off the planet. These very same bankers wouldn't exist only for our government forces to bail them out. And then the audacity not to give families a break when they're on the brink of suicide. Piss off. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but that's my little gin getting to me now. So it's probably time for me to go. My wife is saying time for me to go when the gin starts kicking in. Anyway, so if you confront the judge, he'll lock you up, especially if you show him up. Dave, look, there are some crooked judges out there. Absolutely, I get that. I met one myself, but his day is coming. He's retired now and he thinks he's got away with it. He hasn't. And I will exercise my rights because I need to do that for future generations, Dave. And look at, revenge is a dish best served cold. And, they are not immune. Okay, they are not immune. Somebody said, I heard a school in Dublin vaccinated children, even though some had letters from parents not giving their consent. Yes, make sure you always get a reply to the letter, Dave, because, when you get a reply to the letter confirming they will respect your wishes, if they don't do that, then you can absolutely sue the shit out of the school. So that's good. Padraig Casey says, SJ, where's SJ? Boric, leave her alone. She's in her pajamas and she doesn't want to come on screen. But here she is again. There's a quick look.
I've no even makeup on.
She's no makeup on. I've no makeup on either. Can you lose your job and not going for a test? Absolutely not, because I'm sure you have a contract of employment, and I doubt it said you have to go for a COVID test in it. And everything to do with employment is to do with contract. So again, people would be opening themselves up to being sued left, right, and centre. Somebody says, "Well, no way would I be fit to kill." What was that? I didn't get it on time. Sorry. What's the distinction between a law and a positive law then? Well, if you Google it, what's the difference between law and positive law, you'll see positive law is man-made law. Law on its own is sometimes called natural law or common law, so that's the distinction. But I always prefer to go with the natural law, because sometimes common law is bastardized because people think it's judge-made law. And yes, it is judge-made law through ages, but not in the modern sense. They were always common law judges, where were common law courts where you had a jury. That was proper common law because it came from a jury of your peers, not a bench judge who takes a side pocket and then that's treated as some sort of backhander. All right. So folks, I'm going to go. As I say, there's a lot of information there tonight. And I was just thinking, if you can't make it to Dublin for 2 o'clock, maybe in your local town at 2 o'clock tomorrow or at the weekend, if you organise even a little in your car protest, just up and down the main streets beeping, just to say, look, we know what our rights are and we will not be having them abused, because that's all someone can do with your rights is abuse them. Because as I said, you can't give them away and they can't take them away, but all they can do is abuse your rights. And if anyone abuses your rights, you always have a remedy in the court. So if somebody abused my rights, as you are aware, somebody defamed me, which abused my right to a good name, and I'm suing them for that. And once you do that, once you get a name for not letting people abuse your rights, well then nobody will. And if we all took this view, by the way, and we all did this very quickly, nobody would attempt to abuse your rights ever again. All right. So on that note, folks, I'm going to sign off. I hope you enjoyed the little discussion tonight, and I'm delighted to see that almost 600 people stayed on for the whole lot of that thing. And over and out, and good night to you all, and thanks very much for tuning in. As I say, please share this video on Twitter, on TikTok, WhatsApp, I don't know, all those things, and because as I say, if this video saves one business, one life, then it's worth it. All right, so you've done your bit. Thanks very much, folks, and good night. Over now. Bye.